Human space looked empty on old maps. Long stretches of stars showed no trade hubs, no bright city worlds, and no heavy traffic. Other species believed humans had failed to spread far. They believed humans were slow and cautious. Many thought humans had lost interest in the outer systems. Very few remembered the old warnings. Jae-in watched the border from the command deck of a quiet patrol station. The station floated near a pale blue star, far from busy routes. It was small and clean, built for long duty rather than glory. Jae-in stood straight, hands behind his back, eyes calm. He had served here for 6 years. Nothing dramatic had happened in that time, and that was exactly how Human Command wanted it. Do-yun stood beside him, reading silent data streams. He was thinner and older, with careful eyes that missed nothing. He spoke softly, as if loud words were a waste. Hana moved between consoles nearby, checking systems by hand even though machines could do it faster. She trusted her hands. She trusted her instincts. The borderline was invisible, but everyone on the station knew where it was. It was not marked by weapons or warnings. It existed only in shared understanding among humans. No species crossed human space without permission. The rule was old, older than most treaties, older than most memories. A soft alert sounded. Hana stopped walking. Signal drift, she said. Not human. Do-yun turned his head. Range. Far edge. Hana replied. Small. One ship. Jae-in stepped closer to the main display. A faint shape appeared, barely more than noise. The ship moved slowly, testing, probing. It crossed the invisible line by a small margin. No reaction. Jae-in said. Do-yun nodded. Observation only. The station stayed silent. No warning message. No weapons charge. No change in position. The foreign ship moved deeper, just a little. It sent scanning pulses. It found nothing that looked like danger. Inside the scout ship, the crew relaxed. Human space looked empty, just as reports claimed. No defense stations, no patrol fleets. Only stars and dark. Jae-in watched as the ship reached a certain point. Now, Hana said quietly, the scout ship vanished. There was no explosion, no flash. One moment it existed. The next, it did not. Space returned to stillness. Sensors showed clean readings. No debris. No energy spike large enough to alarm distant systems. Do-yun marked the time. Logged, he said. Jae-in nodded once. Returned to watch. No report was sent beyond encrypted human channels. No message went out to the wider galaxy. One ship was gone, and no one outside human space noticed. Days passed. Then weeks. More signals appeared. Some stayed outside the line. Some crossed and turned back. One more vanished. Then another. The pattern was clear to human eyes. Someone was mapping the border. Hana worked longer hours. She adjusted systems that had not been used in decades. She smiled while she worked, calm and focused. These tools were old but perfect. They were built to end fights before they truly began. Do-yun studied incoming data. He traced paths, speeds, and timing. He saw fear hidden under curiosity. He saw greed pushing caution aside. They will come in force, he said one day. Jae-in did not ask how many. They always do, Do-yun added. The first fleet arrived without ceremony. 10 ships crossed the line together. They moved with confidence, shields bright, weapons visible. They expected resistance or surrender. They got neither. Human space remained quiet. Jae-in received a short message from Central Command. Hold. Do not reveal full strength. Civilian routes closed without panic. Distant colonies went dark by choice, not fear. Human traffic vanished from the region. To outsiders, It looked like retreat. The invading fleet pushed deeper. They scanned empty stations and quiet moons. They laughed over open channels, mocking human absence. They split their formation, spreading out. Jayin waited. When the first ship reached the inner marker, Hana activated a system no alien sensors could see. Space bent slightly. Time slipped by a fraction. The ship slowed without knowing why. Human drones appeared. Small, silent, precise. The first enemy ship lost power. The second lost navigation. The third vanished completely. Panic spread too late. The invaders fired wildly. Their shots hit nothing. Human ships appeared then, clean lines cutting through darkness. They did not shout. They did not boast. They moved with calm purpose. Jayin commanded from the lead vessel. His voice was steady. Targets were chosen carefully. Engines disabled. Weapons silenced. Some ships were destroyed when they resisted. Others were left drifting. Duyun adjusted the battle flow in real time. He guided enemy movement like water into a narrow channel. Fear did the rest. Hana kept systems stable under heavy strain. She fixed damage before alarms could sound. Her hands moved fast and sure. When the battle ended, half the invading fleet was gone. The rest fled back across the border, damaged and terrified. Jayin allowed them to leave. Let them remember. He said. Silence returned to human space. Far away. Survivors told their leaders what they had seen. Empty space that killed without warning. Human ships that struck without anger. A border that was never unguarded. Old records were pulled from forgotten archives. Ancient notes surfaced. Warnings written in cautious language. No species crosses human space. Jayin stood again at the station window. Stars burned quietly beyond the line. He knew this was only the beginning. Human space had been tested, and the galaxy had taken its first painful step toward remembering why the rule existed. The galaxy reacted slowly at first. Reports from the damaged fleet sounded confused and exaggerated. Commanders who heard them believed fear had twisted the story. Human space had always looked weak on maps. It made no sense that such calm territory could hide sharp force. More fleets gathered. Different species joined together, sharing ships and weapons. They believed numbers would solve the problem. If humans had hidden defenses, then those defenses would break under pressure. Pride pushed them forward. Curiosity followed. Jayin watched the build-up through deep sensors that reached far beyond normal range. Human systems saw everything. Every jump point flare. Every fleet formation. Every test of weapons. He stood with Duyun and Hana on the command deck of a larger carrier now stationed near the border. They are forming a line, Hana said. Slow advance. Heavy ships in front. Duyun studied the pattern. They expect a wall, he said. They will hit it hard and move through. Jayin nodded. Then we give them space. Orders moved quietly through human channels. Border stations powered down and vanished from common scans. Patrol ships pulled back. Mining colonies shut their lights. From the outside, human space seemed to retreat again. The coalition fleet crossed the line in force. Hundreds of ships moved together, shields linked, weapons charged. They broadcast warnings and demands. No answer came. They moved deeper. Inside human space, civilians were already gone. Transport lanes were empty. Worlds rested dark and safe under layered protection. No panic spread. Humans trusted the system. They trusted each other. Jayin led his fleet away from the border, always just ahead of the invaders. He allowed them to see retreating ships. He allowed them to believe humans were afraid. Duyun adjusted routes and timing. He shaped the chase carefully. Enemy ships burned fuel faster. Their formation stretched. Their communication lag grew worse. Hana worked below deck, guiding engineers and machines. She brought online systems that had been sealed for generations. Old designs woke like patient animals. They were quiet. They were ready. The first ambush came near a brown dwarf star. Human ships vanished from sight, then appeared behind the enemy flank. Engines failed. Shields flickered. Confusion spread. The coalition fired back with everything they had. Space filled with light and noise. But human ships moved between shots. They slipped through gaps that should not exist. J-In gave short commands. Disable carriers. Break command ships. Leave escape paths. Human weapons struck with control. They did not burn worlds. They did not scatter debris. They cut power, twisted space, and ended fights quickly. Some enemy ships tried to flee. Others charged forward in rage. Those were destroyed. The coalition lost dozens of ships in minutes. Still they pushed on. They believed the humans were using tricks. Tricks could be learned. Tricks could be countered. They were wrong. As the invaders moved deeper, space itself seemed to resist them. Navigation errors grew common. Sensors lead. Time drifted in small but deadly ways. Ships arrived late or early, missing formations and crashing into each other. Du-Yun watched it unfold with calm focus. He adjusted the pressure, never too much. Panic was useful. Total collapse was not yet needed. Hana reported stable output across all systems. Strain levels acceptable. No losses. J-In felt the weight of command, but did not show it. He remembered the old rule: no species crosses human space. This was not anger. This was enforcement. The coalition finally tried a different tactic. They aimed for a populated world. They believed humans would break to defend civilians. They never reached it. Human fleet rose from hidden positions around the star, larger than anything the invaders had seen. Clean hulls. Silent engines. Perfect formation. The message went out then, simple and clear. You are inside human space. Turn back now. The coalition hesitated. Pride fought fear. Some ships powered weapons. J-In gave the order. The battle ended faster than the first. Command ships were erased. Weapon platforms vanished. The remaining fleet lost coordination and scattered. Human ships did not chase far. They allowed survivors to escape once more. Let them speak. Du-Yun said. They will. J-In replied. Silence returned again. Across the galaxy, fear finally took shape. Independent traders changed routes overnight. Old maps were questioned. Ancient files were pulled from sealed memory vaults. Stories spread of human discipline, of borders without walls, of mercy mixed with absolute force. J-In stood on the observation deck as stars drifted past. The war was not over. He knew that. Larger powers would come. Stronger fleets would test the rule. But now the galaxy was watching, and human space was no longer mistaken for weakness. Fear traveled faster than ships. Long before new fleets reached human space, stories arrived first. Traders spoke in low voices. Military councils argued late into cycles. Some leaders denied everything. Others listened too carefully. The galaxy began to divide. Some species pulled back from human borders at once. Others believed the coalition had failed because it lacked unity. They believed stronger weapons and harsher force would succeed. J-In read reports from across human space. Messages arrived from distant systems that had been quiet for years. Old allies checked in. Neutral worlds asked careful questions. He answered none of them directly. Du-Yun stood beside him, eyes moving over layered data. Patterns are forming, he said. Larger powers are gathering. Not near the border yet. They are watching each other. Hana joined them. hands marked with oil and light burns. Shipyards are active across all sectors, she said. Output is steady. No strain on reserves. Jin nodded. Good. Keep it that way. Human fleets shifted positions without signal noise. Ships moved through hidden lanes and silent jump paths. To outside sensors, human space still looked thin. To human eyes, it was dense and alive. The next intrusion came without warning. A fast strike group crossed the border at multiple points at once. Smaller ships, faster engines. They aimed to map defenses and escape. They did not escape. Human space reacted like a living thing. Routes closed. Space bent. Time slipped again. The intruders found themselves isolated, unable to regroup. Jin commanded from a mobile hub now deep inside the region. His orders were precise. Cut paths. Separate targets. End movement. Human ships appeared and vanished, never staying long enough to be tracked. Weapons struck engines and sensors first. Panic rose fast among the intruders. One ship transmitted a surrender signal. Jin paused. Hold fire, he said. The human fleet surrounded the ship, but did not destroy it. Boarding teams moved in silence. They disabled controls and secured the crew. Duyan watched closely. This will be seen, he said. That is the point, Jin replied. The captured crew was treated without cruelty. They were confined, fed, and questioned calmly. They were shown records. Old warnings. Maps marked with quiet lines. They had never seen such restraint. The rest of the strike group was destroyed or disabled. No survivors fled this time. News spread fast. The galaxy now saw two faces of humanity: absolute force and careful mercy. This confused many leaders. They could not predict which response they would face. A council of major powers met in secret. They debated attacking human core worlds. They debated blockades. They debated peace. Some argued that humans were too dangerous to leave alone. Others warned that pushing further would unite all of human space fully. While they argued, human fleets continued to move. Hana oversaw upgrades across multiple ship classes. She refined systems based on battle data. Each encounter made human ships faster and quieter. Duyan trained new tactical crews. He taught them patience. He taught them that winning was not about speed, but control. Jin visited a recovered border station. The walls still bore marks from old impacts. He walked the quiet halls alone. He remembered why the rule existed. Long ago, humans had learned that survival required clarity. Borders were not threats. They were promises. Another fleet crossed the line days later. This one was larger, heavier, slower. They came prepared for loss. The battle lasted longer than before. Space burned with light. Human ships took damage for the first time. Some were lost. Hana worked until exhaustion, rerouting power, sealing hulls. Saving lives. Duyan adjusted tactics on the fly. Turning enemy strength into weakness, Jin felt each loss like weight in his chest. But his voice stayed calm. When the battle ended, the invading fleet was broken. Survivors fled in disarray. This time, humans pursued just far enough to make the lesson final. Afterward, silence fell heavy. Across the galaxy, official statements changed tone. Threats became warnings. Warnings became questions. Some species sent quiet probes carrying messages instead of weapons. Jin stood at the edge of the command deck, watching stars drift past. They are learning. Hana said softly. Some are, Duyan replied. Others will need more time. Jin nodded. Human space would endure, not because it sought war, but because it remembered what happened when lines were ignored. The galaxy was no longer guessing. It was beginning to understand. The coalition gathered once more. This time, They brought larger fleets, heavier weapons, and fearless commanders. They believed only overwhelming force could break human resistance. Jae-in received the reports and studied them quietly. Each detail mattered. Every number, every ship class, every commander's reputation. Si-jun, an experienced admiral, arrived at the forward command station. His eyes were sharp, and his calm presence reassured the young officers. He studied the enemy movements and nodded at Jae-in. "Your methods are sound," he said. "We will support them." Do-yun observed silently. He noted the enemy formations and calculated response times. Even the largest fleets could falter under precise control. The humans had learned patience. Now they would test resolve. Hana moved between stations, her hands flying over consoles. She adjusted systems that had never faced full-scale combat before. Engines, weapons, and shields were tuned to perfection. Each ship was a machine built to survive, to strike, and to endure. The coalition fleet crossed the border near a dead star. The gravity well was dangerous, and the humans used it as advantage. Ji-in waited until the fleet was fully committed. Then he gave the signal. Human ships appeared from hidden lanes. They were not numerous, but they were perfectly placed. Engines glowed briefly, weapons ready. They struck the first line of the enemy fleet. Ships were disabled faster than they could react. The coalition tried to regroup, but each human strike was precise and methodical. Do-yun guided every movement. Enemy strengths became weaknesses. Every gap, every exposed shield was exploited. Panic rose slowly but surely. Commanders who believed in raw power were forced to rethink. Their formations twisted and broke. Hana worked tirelessly, keeping systems running under pressure. Minor damages were repaired instantly. Weapons recalibrated. Engines boosted. Every ship remained a threat. Se-jun took command of the central fleet. He coordinated with Jae-in to flank the largest enemy warships. The coalition struggled to maintain cohesion. Some ships tried to flee, but escape routes were cut off. Others charged forward recklessly and were destroyed. The battle was long and brutal. Stars flickered with energy blasts. Human ships moved with discipline. They did not falter. They did not shout. They struck, they disabled, and they withdrew when necessary. Every action was measured. When the last enemy ship tried to retreat, Jae-in allowed it. Only a few ships survived, scattered across the border. They would carry back the story. They would remember the human discipline and power. Across the galaxy, observers recorded what had happened. Every report emphasized the calm and effectiveness of human crews. Every fleet commander began to rethink old assumptions about human space. The myth of emptiness was shattered. The warning was remembered. Jae-in stood at the observation deck, watching the scattered remnants of the enemy fleet move back into the darkness. Stars gleamed quietly around him. The cost of intrusion had been measured, and the lesson was clear. Se-jun approached him. "The galaxy will remember," he said. Jae-in nodded. "Let them." But human space is not a place for pride or conquest. It is a place for those who respect the line. Do-yun reviewed the battle logs and prepared plans for training new officers. Each encounter refined tactics, improved strategies, and strengthened defenses. They were ready for the next challenge, whenever it came. Hana began the work of rebuilding and upgrading the fleet. She smiled quietly at each improvement. Systems that were once hidden now formed a web of control across the border. Human space was alive, patient, and lethal. The coalition fleets spoke quietly after their retreat. Traders and diplomats carried warnings. Maps were redrawn. Borders were marked with caution. No one would forget the cost. Jae-in walked among his crew, speaking quietly, encouraging them, and observing their work. They had done more than survive. They had set a standard that the galaxy would now respect. Human space returned to calm. Patrols resumed quiet watch, but no fleet dared to approach. The galaxy remembered what had happened. The cost of crossing human space was now known, and it would not be ignored. Human space returned to quiet. The fleets had withdrawn. Borders were calm again. But the galaxy had changed. No fleet dared approach the systems openly. Traders altered routes. Diplomats asked permission before venturing near human space. The lesson had been learned. Che-in stood at the edge of the observation deck, watching distant stars. The silence felt heavy, but reassuring. Ships moved in hidden lanes, never fully seen, yet always ready. Human space was alive and patient. Messages arrived from distant species. Some were cautious, seeking permission for trade or passage. Others were more hesitant, asking questions about the recent battles. Jae-in read each carefully, but answered only those necessary. Si-jun joined him, calm and steady. "You have done well," he said. "The galaxy now knows the cost." Jae-in nodded. "We do not seek war," he said, "but we do not allow intrusion." Du-yun supervised training programs. Young commanders learned patience, precision, and the importance of observation. Each lesson reinforced the principle that human space must never be underestimated. Hana began rebuilding and upgrading the fleet. Systems improved, designs refined, and new ships entered service. The quiet hum of production filled shipyards across human space. Efficiency and readiness became the norm. A small convoy arrived from a distant sector, seeking safe passage. Jae-in personally oversaw the escort. No obstacles. No surprises. The convoy moved safely to its destination, reinforcing trust and showing the galaxy the controlled might of humans. Across human space, patrols continued silently. Sensors recorded everything, but outward appearances remained calm. Hidden strength was more effective than visible force. Old records were revisited. Ancient warnings and treaties were rewritten to include recent events. Every species now knew the reality. Human space was protected, disciplined, and deadly when crossed. Stories traveled slowly through the galaxy. Traders and survivors shared their accounts. Legends grew about the calm humans who struck precisely, punished only when necessary, and spared survivors for witness. Fear mixed with respect. Miscalculations would be costly. Jae-in walked among his officers, listening to reports and encouraging their work. He spoke little, letting results speak for themselves. Discipline, patience, and precision defined human power. Se-jun and Du-yun reviewed strategies for potential future encounters. They studied galaxy-wide intelligence and adjusted plans for training, patrols, and fleet movement. Each measure was calculated to maintain human dominance without unnecessary aggression. Hana inspected ships, leaving the shipyards. Engines gleamed. Weapons were ready. Every crew trained and tested. Human space was quiet but alive, prepared for whatever came next. A new message arrived from a distant ambassador. They requested formal recognition of borders and safe trade routes. Jae-in responded through official channels. Boundaries are clear. Respect them. Peace will follow where rules are observed. The galaxy remembered at last. Human space was not empty. It had never been empty. It had always been guarded, disciplined, and ready. Jae-in returned to the observation deck, staring at distant stars. The cost of forgetting had been paid by those who entered unprepared. Human space would endure, patient and calm. Every ship, every patrol, every hidden fleet was a reminder. The stars were quiet again. Human space remained secure. Lessons had been learned. Respect had been restored. The galaxy would not forget.